Jadi pensarahnya tuh ada Bu Prima, Bu Aulia.
Ah,
Saya ini aja.
Dinda, bisa Dinda? Ada Dinda? Nanti Bu yang telat-telat.
Bu Prima, Dokter Su ini allowed to
Oh,
share. Dokter Su nanti Bu Prima yang guide this lecture ya. Lecture.
oh, okay.
Oke.
Hmm.
udah Dokter Su, bisa dicoba?
Hmm. Ya.
Udah boleh share kah?
Saya mau share sekarang ke?
Ya coba. Jadi
Coba
try.
dulu mungkin.
Coba entire
Boleh
screen.
share dulu. Ah, Alhamdulillah bisa ya.
Boleh nampak?
Boleh tampak. Boleh.
Hmm. Ini saya share PDF. Oke. Okay. Siapa mau introduction-nya? Student belum ramai?
Udah ramai Dokter Su. Baik, saya
Mm-mm.
buka saja ya kuliah tamu hari ini. Ya. Oh iya, nanti sambil bisa slideshow ya Dokter Su ya. Bisa lebih zoom
Ini PDF.
PDF ya. Bisa ada option full screen maybe.
Full screen, kejap
Ada option untuk full screen.
tak apa saya hmm, di mana full screen-nya? Kejap. Ataupun introduction dulu.
Oke, baik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Yang kami hormati Dr. Suhaila dari UPM, dosen pengampu pra-TA. Ini kebetulan yang hadir di sini ada Dr. Aulia, kemudian teman-teman pengampu nanti on the way, gitu ya. Dan saya sendiri, Dr. Su, mungkin masih ingat,
Iya,
saya Bu
masih.
Prima.
Iya.
Dan ini ada student dari subjek pra-tugas akhir, apa ya bahasa Inggrisnya ya, before
Oh,
final project,
final
gitu ya.
semester.
Itu in total seharusnya ada 100 student, tapi mungkin masih on the way ke ruangan ini. Seperti itu. Nah, hari ini teman-teman kita akan mendengarkan guest lecture ya, materi terkait dengan critical thinking. Jadi proses setelah kalian sempro kemarin, ya, jadi memulai analisis dan menghasilkan konsep perancangan. Ya, ini ada sharing session pengalaman dari kampus luar negeri ya, yang mungkin saya yakin bisa diambil ilmunya, bisa dipelajari gitu ya, supaya kalian juga bisa mudah dalam melakukan proses analisis dan konsep desain. Ya, seperti itu saja opening dari saya. Untuk selanjutnya saya ya.
Okey. Saya dah buka slide. Boleh nampak semua tak?
Sudah nampak.
Okey. So, terima kasih Bu Prima. Assalamualaikum and good evening everyone. So this is my
Waalaikumsalam
lecture.
warahmatullahi
Yeah,
wabarakatuh.
bridging data and design, the role of critical thinking in architectural analysis. Okay, this is our learning objective for today. we will we will understand the core stages of design thinking first, and then we relate the design thinking to architectural design process, and then how do we apply design thinking to site analysis, and then how do we connect design thinking to critical thinking. So first of all, we look at this design thinking. Any of you might be aware of design thinking, or you have attended any classes. So it is basically human-centered. So we focus on human iterative process for creative problem solving. That means before we come up with a solution, we need to understand what do human want, what do men want, or the children or aging population. Then only we can go for problem solving. That means create a solution or a strategy. And it was popularized or introduced by IDEO and Stanford Design School, and design thinking has been used in many fields, not only in architecture, but also in business, management, and other field. And in architecture, it is not just a form making, but for empathetic responsive design. That means based on users' need. We want to know what do people in a poor area want, what do people in maybe government sector wants, or what do businessmen want. So different demographic will have a different perspective or needs and problems. So there are 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So at this stage, we want to understand first. It is like going to meet a doctor. They want to know what is your symptom first. What is your problem? So this is a very critical stage. And then we define what is the problem. And then we will start with the ideate. We brainstorm, come up with few solution strategies or design proposal, and then we go for prototype, and then we test. And then what is design thinking in architecture? This is where we encourage empathy for users and context, because in architecture, it is a combination of art and science. So it is combination of social, environment, and everything, technology. So we need to know the users and its context first, because of course we design our environment for human being to use. Okay, that's why we need to encourage empathy for users and context. This is very crucial, because there's no one design that fits all. Maybe one design that we like, you can implement in Malang, but you cannot implement in Kuala Lumpur, or maybe you can implement in the UK, but not in Malaysia, based on context and based on users' requirement. And then when we incorporate design thinking, we can enhance collaboration and creativity. That means we want to know what do different types of people want. How do we collaborate between one stakeholder, maybe the local authority or the community, so then we can encourage more problem solving. And then in design thinking, we encourage analysis and innovation. Maybe the way we think now is different compared to in the 70s or 80s, where at that time we just copy whatever happened in US or UK. We just copy. We did not innovate. But at this stage, with the IR 4.0 and generative AI, we go for innovation. That's why we need design thinking, even in architecture. And then makes the design process more purposeful and user-driven. So we cannot be an architect who only care about ourselves, or who are arrogant, or we only think about we want to design an iconic building without understanding the needs, purpose, and about user requirement or problems. Okay. Site analysis. I'm sure most of you have done this from your first year until third year. It is a process of researching and analyzing the social, historical, climatic, geographical, legal, and infrastructural characteristic of a given site. So that means every site is different. For example, maybe your site in Malang or Jakarta or Ipoh, Malacca, or Singapore is different. So you need to research and analyze because there is a deep social components different. Of course, in terms of historical, maybe one country, they might have 1,000 historical timeline compared to our country. And then the climatic response is different. The climatic environment, maybe in Malang, you have a pleasant environment, pleasant weather compared to KL, which is very hot. And then geographical, topography, and then of course, legal requirement. For example, in Malaysia, in the Peninsular Malaysia, our legal framework is the same. But if you go to Sabah and Sarawak, the act or legal requirement is a bit different because they are not bound by our legal requirement in Peninsular Malaysia. And of course, infrastructure characteristic of a given site. So this is a process that you need to go through, researching and analyzing. Because when you do a project, it is very similar to doing research actually. And then after you do analysis, you will synthesize. Okay. And then you will establish project goals, and then you will make an informed decision. Okay. So this is why we need to do it. We need to understand physical, cultural, social, and environment. Why do we need to know all of these four components? Because, for example, in Malaysia, we have a different culture. We have a multicultural, multi-races. So we need to understand what are the sensitivity, what are the needs, or maybe in Indonesia, Balinese culture is different. Maybe in Jakarta, maybe it's more modern. So the cultural expectation, the cultural norm is different. And then you look at the social aspect as well, the social component, the hierarchy of the society. So all these things will affect your design. So you need to understand. And then the physical environment, what does the city looks like? Is it a normal city or a new township or an old city or heritage city, or maybe the street pattern, the morphology? So all these things you need to understand. And then you have the environmental factor. For example, maybe there's a water body, waterfall, what kind of environment, a slope. So these are the things that you need to consider, okay? And then we need to reframe our site analysis through design thinking. In traditional approach, we only we get data, get the climatic information, maybe rain data, the water level, topography, view, traffic jam, and all this numerical data. But in design thinking approach, we need to consider human experience, behavior, and hidden needs. Okay. And these are the tools and method for empathetic site analysis. You do behavioral mapping, you interview and survey, photojournals and community storytelling, and perception mapping. So when we want to understand human being, you need to understand how do people behave in the environment. That's where environmental design come. You need to understand how do people walk from one point to another. What do they avoid? So you do an observation. And then you need to interview, talk to people. you do survey, you count how many people use that area. And maybe you can take a photo along the street, a community area, or your site. And then you get to know the people by storytelling, getting to know more. Sometimes you cannot get the information through interview, or maybe you can get from community storytelling. This is a very interesting approach, but it is time consuming because you need to get their trust in order for them to open up and tell you about the history of the place, or about something which is very sensitive, or maybe a myth in that area. So these are the method that you use, okay? And then you need to do a perception mapping. Perception, it is psychological process which is very complex, but it is very important because you need to know whether people feel, for example, maybe they feel safe, or they are not happy with that area. So you need to understand this in order to be empathetic, okay? That you understand them. So when you empathize, you see through users' eyes. Okay, that means when you go to site, you cannot have this preconceived idea. Maybe you go to Malang. What is the famous alun-alun? You know alun-alun? So you
Alun.
go there and then you think, okay, I want to create this because I like this. No, you cannot simply put your idea just like that. You need to observe how people use that area, or maybe they avoid the site, and then you do observation. You look at how many people are walking or cycling, and what kind of activities, sitting, pushing, or just walking with a child. And then you conduct interview, record every movement. You can do it with a form, photograph, okay? And look at for barriers, desires, discomfort, and joy. So this process is also time consuming, but it is very important for you to understand, or to make the place more maybe comfort, or more safe for people to use, and make it a quality space. And one of the other method that you can use is interview. There are 3 types: structured, semi-structured, unstructured interview. For structured interview, you have a set of questions. It is sometimes it's very formal. You ask the people in that area, or you can ask the local authority, what are the requirements, what do they plan to design in that area. For semi-structured, maybe sometimes we ask the locals. So this is where the question is only maybe 5 or 10, and then it will snowball along the way. The question will be more than what you intend, because it will grow naturally. So people will open up along the way. They will feel safe with you. So they will keep on. Sometimes they will give you that information. And then you have unstructured interview. So you just go there, you ask whatever question, but this is very tricky because sometimes you will waste your time. And this is in Ipoh. Anyone who been to Ipoh, you might remember this area. Okay, this is our student in Sabak Bernam. They ask local about their needs. This is agriculture area. And then you might want to do an observation. You look at how people use the spaces, and you observe what types of activities in that area. This is a big site. Maybe your site is smaller, but the things that you observe are, or the criteria is the same. You look at the time frame. What do people do in the morning, afternoon, or during weekdays and weekend? Because every time frame, the component is different. The way people use their environment is different. And then you look at the demographic as well. Okay, anyone been to Kuala Lumpur? Maybe you are familiar with this area. This is in front of Sogo. This is a small area in front of a junction. You can see that this is a public space where very, I think very successful because people congregate here and then sometimes they do a protest, demonstration, with the Palestine issue now. So they gather here and then people are selling many things. And from this kind of environment, when you do observation, you need to ask what, why, why do people sit here? What are the activities? What are the things that attract people to come here? Is it the steps or the activities or the lighting or the skyline? And how? How do people use? Are they just sitting here for how many hours? When? Is it every day? And who are they? So these are the things that you need to know when you design. Sure. Okay. So besides manual data collection, observation, what you can do is use space syntax. This is one of the method where you want to study accessibility for pedestrian. You want to study the pedestrian pattern, how people walk from one point to another, and then where is the area with many people, maybe concentration of people. So this is this is how you use the technology. You use a space syntax, spatial layout attraction. You can use it for land use attraction and transport. And then this is okay, this is a computer based where you can study movement, patterns of security and insecurity, relationship of evolution, and then you can look at the spatial, the spaces, segregation and social disadvantage, and buildings can create more interactive. So from all this data, you can propose a strategy, okay, for your building or your street pattern or transport. After you get all this data, you will do your site analysis. Okay, this is an example. I'm sure you are very familiar with all this. But when you have your data, you need to do analysis, and then you need to synthesize. Okay, this is tiring stage data collection because you need to collect many data, social, physical, and then you need to analyze, and then you need to synthesize. From data collection, maybe you got 100 data, you analyze, that means you categorize by component or by whatever category that you want to do it, and then you synthesize. When you synthesize, the data will become more refined. That means it is more structured. So what do you do when you get the data? You need to interpret the data. So this is the most crucial part when sometimes students forget. They only collect the data and then they just compile and they put it in a beautiful AO or A1 board without understanding or interpreting the data. When you interpret the data, you need to see the pattern because in our life, there are patterns. If you understand deeper, there are many patterns in our life. Okay, so same goes with the data. There's always a pattern. So you need to look at this pattern in order to interpret and understand what do your user need. And then what contradicts expectations. Maybe sometimes when you go to site, you expect that, okay, alun-alun area is congested, people don't like that area. But when you do your data collection, you analyze, and then you see the contradiction of the data or your expectation. And then at the same time, after you analyze and synthesize, you will understand or you will start notice that there's something missing. So you go back to your data or you go back to your site, get the information. And then what insights are most meaningful? Sometimes you collect, you interpret, you count 100 buildings, but you don't have to come out with all, present all the data. You look at what is meaningful. Maybe from 100 buildings that you survey, you categorize into year or architectural style. So what is meaningful? Maybe your synthesis is there are many heritage building in Kota Malang, or there are many heritage building that needs to be repurposed or adaptive use. So what insights are most meaningful? Okay, and then we look at the design thinking give you the user-centered creative foundation. And then we go to the next step, which is critical thinking. Make sure your ideas are grounded, coherent, responsive to real data. Okay, how many of you really like Zaha Hadid? I'm sure many of you like Zaha Hadid, right? I would like to see anyone raise their hand. Anyone familiar with Zaha Hadid? Ada yang kenal Zaha Hadid? Arkiteknya? Bu Prima. Cuba tanya siapa yang
Ya,
kenal.
ada yang kenal Zaha Hadid, almarhumah?
Ada yang kenal?
Hah?
Oh, siapa yang minat? Norman Foster.
Siapa yang minat dengan karya-karya Zaha Hadid? Angkat tangannya.
Adik,
Raise your hand.
arkitek dari barat. It's okay to like their idea or their architectural style, but we need to be grounded, coherent, and responsive to real data. Their design might be useful for that kind of environment or their culture. But what about our side? Is our design responding to real data? So you have to connect the data. It's like you go to see a doctor. The doctor give you, analyze you, and then come out that you have all the symptom, but they give you a wrong medicine. So this is your role. Architect should give the right medicine to the problem. So you have to be grounded, okay? And this is one of the problem as well that we notice. You gather so many data. You have 6 AO or 10 AO board presenting all your data collection and your analysis. Then you'll be overwhelmed because there's so many data. So what you need to do is you need to understand. You don't just collect the data. And then, okay, analyze, evaluate, and make informed design decision. Whatever you do, you want to make a design decision. That means you have to, based on your observation, interview, or this behavioral mapping. So when you design, sometimes students completely forget about their data analysis. They forget about the history of the place. They study the morphology. They read the history of that site. But then suddenly when they design, they come up with something which is totally not connected or not an informed design decision, where there is logic and reasoning, evidence and context. Evidence, that means, okay, let's say we ask people in the street somewhere in Malang. They said that they want a better or wider street with many matured trees. The evidence say that, but in your design, you like so much Middle East plant. So it is not based on evidence and it is not based on context. But actually, this is also happened in Malaysia. And then ethical and human factors. You need to be based on all these human factors, okay? And the most important part, after you do the synthesis, you need to do SWOT analysis. You need to understand the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Sometimes the strength in that area is only 3. So What can you do with that strength? How do you manipulate or how do you make use of that strength? And then please understand that strength, weakness, and opportunity and threats, it doesn't have to be aligned. It should be independent. That means in that area, if there is three strength, the weakness could be something else. Is maybe the weakness is traffic, the strength is the building, opportunities is the activity, and the threat is maybe because of the guidelines of that area. Maybe the local authority want to demolish all building or cut down the trees. So it should be an independent SWOT analysis. Okay, the element should be independent. And then what do you do after you get all your analysis, your SWOT? You start the ideate process. You generate the possibilities. Normally in ideation stage, we do brainstorming if we a group work, so that we generate more idea, real insight, brainstorm, okay? Respond to site and user need. Always remember your site and user need. Sometimes they suddenly create a new design because they copy from the internet or because they like some architect. So that is a very wrong approach, okay? And then you need to reimagine the relationship between people and place, because whatever we do, our design is for the people. So as an architect, we need to be grounded, lower down our ego. Sometimes we have this idea, maybe at this stage, third year, maybe you have this vision, you want one day I'll go out, I want to design something big, something beautiful. No, please understand this relationship between people who use that space, not you, okay? Because they are the one who will suffer if we design badly. And then you do prototype, sketches, mapping, diagrams to test spatial ideas. So this process, you need to do it maybe multiple process, maybe manually, or you do a digital sketch. So these are the process. So don't just settle for one design. Make a few prototypes, discuss the idea, and go back to the data. Always go back to the data. Okay, this is one of the example of final year student. And maybe you can test. Maybe you can use BIM or create a model. And then you need to involve real people. Maybe you can ask them for their comment. You do it online, or you do a public hearing like what the local authority do, or you ask the community. If you design a space for community, maybe like this, here you have a day one, around solar. You ask the people, is the design okay? Is the location suitable? What will affect the traffic? Is it culturally, contextually appropriate? And what are the benefits? And then sometimes we get the community to comment. And this is a real cases in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, where people protest. Okay, so you present to the real people, get their feedback, get their response for you to understand the site. Okay, are they okay with that proposal? Sometimes we only think about our project brief, and then we forget about the real people who live there. What are the impact to their economy, the social environment, okay? So there are some, I think, case study that we can look at. This is in Kaifeng, Henan province in China, where the narrow alley, this is a traditional street where they collaborate with Henan University and the local community. They ask the local community, what do they want? And then they study the history of that place. And when they do the revitalization, they did not demolish all this old building. These are the same building they just put some maybe some renovation or refurbish and embed with some technology. So maybe this is something new, but the rest, most of it are the same building activity. But if you go to Malacca in Malaysia, this will not happen because there is no collaboration. We did not ask the local people what do they want, and then there is no enforcement. Okay, but in China, okay, this is how well they design, how well they connect between the university, the local authority, and this designer or the one who give the money. Okay, and then this is Cheonggyecheon River restoration in Korea. I think many of you know about this stream. This is a very successful case study where you can see that people can use this public space because this is what happened when they listen to the people. And this is before restoration. There's a flyover. This is just like in KL. We love so much building highway next to houses, and then people who live here, you know, cannot sleep at night. It's too noisy, and then the building will vibrate, and then you have mental health issue. But why can't we do like this? Of course, you need money to do this, but if we have a good government, they can use, they can manage the wealth properly, so we can get all this rather than having all this. Is it the same in Indonesia? I hope Malaysia could do something, you know, we don't go back like this. And this is one of my previous project. I take over this project during construction. This is a good example of a bad approach. This is Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Agama Jelun. This school was built in Sawah Padi, Bendang, Sawah Padi. And then there's so many problems with the site because of the Sawah Padi, the soil condition. And then there is no responsive environment design. We did not, actually the architect, we designed to have this walkway, the landscape. But when we go to the higher level, they ask to cut down the cost. We try to maintain the walkway and the landscape, but they say, no, we need to cut down, architect, cut down the walkway, cut down the trees. We don't want trees. We just want to build this. So this is what happened. For your information, this is Kedah is the northern part of Malaysia. It's very hot. Sawah padi, dikelilingnya bukit-bukit, sangat panas. So bayangkan budak-budak pelajar sekolah agama ni sangat panas. So we are to blame. We are to be blamed. Whoever involved in this project sangat berdosa. Sebab kita membiarkan kepanasan. Sedangkan kita boleh design. We did not respond to the climate and we did not understand the user need. So as a takeaway, design thinking, we need to combine with critical thinking. So you have your raw data. Don't forget about your raw data. You analyze, synthesize, look at the insight, the meaningful, and then make a purposeful design. Don't simply design, you know, without purpose. And then you need to understand that site analysis is not just a technical, get the data and then synthesize, but you need to understand the human-centered. And then it will help to uncover hidden insights. Sometimes when you do questionnaire survey, you only get the numbers. Okay, you interview 300 in Kota Malang, but sometimes you cannot get the hidden insight. So you need to do interview session, or you need to conduct an observation. And then how does empathy transform how we see and design for a site? You see, you look, but you don't see. So you need to see beyond what you see. and then you design for a site. You cannot, because I show you Chonggicheon, okay, you want to design kayu tangan, you just want to design the same thing. You cannot. It's a different context. There are houses there, so it's a different site. Okay, and then good design starts with good question. Always remember that when project is similar to research, there's always question. You need to ask, is this okay? What do the people want? If I design this, or if I put this wall here on the left side, is it suitable? Or will it affect the traffic? How will it affect the stalls along the street? So you need to ask a lot of questions. That's how you have this critical thinking. And one of the current issue here, not here, I think in the world, over reliance on AI. So lacks critical thinking. Without critical thinking, we will risk creating designs that are beautiful but meaningless. That means you can pin up 6 AO with beautiful 3D drawing, Revit or Photoshop or whatever Lumen you use, but then it's meaningless and it's not inhuman. It's inhuman, sorry. Your design is not for the human being. It's just beautiful. It's fast. You can finish up your drawing. You use generative AI, use Mid Journey to come up with a design, and then but it's shallow. So do you want to be like this? Lack of critical thinking, and then our design is not for human. So this is what I want you guys to think, because we have the same problem here. We talked to colleagues in China. They also have the same problem, and we asked the private university in Malaysia. They also have the same problem with this critical thinking, because over reliance on AI. It's okay. Of course, you need to embrace AI. You need to use it in your data collection and analysis, but please don't forget this critical part, how to make it useful. Okay. So with that, I wrap up my presentation. Any question you can ask me? All right.
Beri tepukan. Baik. Baik, kita masuk ke sesi discussion ya. Jadi siapa yang hendak bertanya terlebih dahulu? Ya, Alif. Kemudian ada lagi? Alif dulu ya. Silakan Alif. Come forward.
No, Alif.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Thank you, Miss Sulaihat, for the presentation. Thank you, Miss Suhaila. Sorry. Thank you for the presentation. It was very thoughtful. Let me introduce myself. My name is Alif Putra Aulia. I am a third-year student at Architecture Engineering UIN Malang.
Oh,
I want to ask about data analyzing. So those data interpretation process have to be sequential in all design cases, because from the first year of college, we've been taught to conduct site analysis as the first step. So I just wondering if there's any other methods. So yeah, thanks. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Alif. Okay, as I mentioned, before this, that when you do a project, it is similar to when you conduct a research. That means your data collection and data analysis, it could be sequential or it could be concurrent. It depends. But because we are dealing with an environment where you need to connect between social environment, so it's more like a mixed method. what you should do is it could be a concurrent, but you need to triangulate the data. You need to compare the data. It doesn't have to be sequential. But for analysis, of course, you get your maybe the traffic data, and then you look at how does it impact with your maybe the human behavior. So you need to combine all those things. You need to integrate. That's the part where you do your synthesis. That's the process. Let me show. Um, Okay. So sometimes after you collect your data, of course you need to do your analysis, but it could be sequential or it could be concurrent. It depends. Okay. But whatever it is, whether you do it concurrent or sequential, the most important part is your synthesis, because you can have 100 data, 100 information. You can have maybe 5 pages of human activity. But how do you interpret the data? This is the most crucial part. That's why when you do your analysis, you need to look at the pattern or the category. You based on maybe visual observation and then visual dimension, and then you have your building survey. So from that, you need to categorize. Okay. And then you need to prepare all this. So this is after you menapis informationnya. Daripada banyak data, kita bahagi ikut kategori dan kita tapis-tapis, kita dapat apa yang paling penting, SWOT-nya, strength, apa weakness-nya, opportunity dan threats. Okay. Adakah menjawab, Alif?
Oke, bentar. Mungkin saya bisa interpretasikan ya. Jadi pertanyaannya Alif itu yang pertama adalah analisis. Apakah proses analisis itu harus berurutan atau istilah Dr. Su ini adalah sekuensial atau concurrent atau Indonesianya adalah berbarengan atau sifatnya paralel. Ya. Jadi jawabannya adalah tergantung atau it depends. Itu ya, tergantung dengan desain isu Anda, kemudian desain approach Anda, kemudian riset-riset yang ingin dicari tahu lebih mendalam. Ya, bisa berurutan atau sekuensial atau juga bisa berbarengan secara paralel. Seperti itu.
Ya, betul.
Ya.
Yang
Ya.
penting bila design jangan lupakan data analisis. Masalahnya kumpul banyak data, bila design tiba-tiba kita design benda yang baru tak tengok data.
Iya.
Itu yang
Sudah
problem.
lupa dia.
Sudah lupa. Minggu ke-14 sudah lupa minggu ketiga yang
Iya.
data.
Ya,
Ya.
seperti itu. Ya, memang kuncinya adalah data. Jadi disayang-sayang data yang sudah di collection ya, jangan
Ya.
sampai hilang, jangan sampai lepas gitu ya, karena nanti akan kalian cross check, recheck untuk proses-proses desain selanjutnya. Untuk Alif, kira-kira ada respon, another counter atau another question? Oh, clear katanya.
Thank you.
Dokter itu clear. Terima kasih dokter. Yang
Sama.
lain silakan. Oke. Yuk, Ulin, silakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Miss.
Salam.
After in here, I really ya gitu. Aku nggak tahu bahasa Inggris, Bu. Jadi mohon
Tak
maaf,
apa,
Bu.
cakap saja Indonesia saya faham.
Mungkin langsung ke pertanyaannya, Bu.
Boleh, boleh.
in site analysis, there's a phase where we understand the environment, physical, social, and cultural. Wherever this thing must have the same portion, or we can lean toward one of them.
Oh, so your question.
Because kasusnya misal
Kelakar je orangnya.
based on my case, in my TA, my project, itu mungkin lebih cenderung ke
Cenderung
itu
ke?
mungkin lebih cenderung ke hal-hal biological, terus kayak hal-hal yang mungkin natural, dan menurut saya sendiri akan sedikit mengenai culturalnya. Nah, apakah itu nanti perlu saya harus ada culturalnya gitu, atau ya kalau memang nggak diperlukan kayaknya nggak usah gitu. Sekian Bu. Mohon maaf.
Okey, tak apa. Okey, siapa nama tadi?
Ulin,
Ulin.
Ulin Nuha.
Ulin Nuha. Nuha lah saya panggil. Okey, seperti yang saya maklumkan tadi, setiap
Ya.
tapak adalah berbeza. Mungkin tadi saya tunjuk di Korea, mungkin aspek social, ekonomi, cultural, mungkin semuanya diambil kira. Tetapi mungkin ada di tapak lain yang kamu dapat, mungkin kekurangan aspek culture di kawasan tersebut. So, kamu tak perlulah study perkara tersebut. Unless di kawasan tapak tu memang dari segi culture-nya sangat kuat. Itu wajib. So, bergantung kepada tapak. Sebab tu kita ada istilah yang dipanggil there's no one design fits all. Maksudnya kena tengok kepada kesesuaian tapak. Kalau di tapak itu adalah tapak yang macam Putrajaya di Malaysia, administrative city, dahulunya adalah agriculture land. Dia bukannya seperti Kuala Lumpur, bandar yang berkembang daripada kawasan pelombongan, ada sejarahnya. Tidak, Putrajaya adalah satu kawasan dipanggil greenfield. So aspek budayanya mungkin only 10% untuk dikaji. So menjawab soalan Nuha tadi, bergantung kepada tapak. Kalau di tapak kamu tu lagi banyak aspek biologi, itulah yang kamu kena lebihkan sebab itu mungkin perkara yang paling pertama ataupun yang unik kepada tapak kamu. Sama macam kalau kamu sakit jumpa doktor, dia bergantung, ubatnya bergantung kepada apa simptom kamu. Analoginya. Boleh faham Nuha? Okay.
Ulin,
So depends on your side. Ni yang depan ni tak mau tanya, tak nak tanya. Yang depan-depan. Yang tutup mulut gelak.
Dikasih aja mic-nya Bu Prim. Langsung tunjuk poin.
oh Iza dulu. Iza, silakan. Tadi sudah di
Cik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Iza, and right now I just wanna asking something about space syntax analysis. For my last project is an airport terminal. Ini.
Okay.
For my last project is airport terminal in Karimun, Jawa. I'd like to say how can spatial connectivity maps be integrated with my design approach is symbiotropical architecture. Symbiotropical is a combination of symbolic design approach and tropical design approach to determine the placement of corridor, walkways, semi-open plaza functioning as both social nodes and climatic buffer. That's it. Thank you, Miss.
Okay, welcome. So, Iden. So when you design an
Kiza.
airport terminal,
Kiza.
oh, Izan.
Yes.
Okay. Your question is about your project, right? Airport terminal. So airport terminal is a transit hub. So when you design a transit hub or this kind of environment for transportation, first thing that you need to remember is wayfinding and accessibility. It doesn't matter you want to go for symbolism, cultural, thematic, you need to solve accessibility and wayfinding first. Just imagine you want to go to Kuala Lumpur, your gate is gate 7, your main entrance is about 1 kilometer to your gate. So how do you let people walk and at the same time enjoy your tropical architecture or your thematic design? That will be your second. Aesthetic is second, or your architectural style is second. The first thing first, wayfinding and accessibility. How many people lost in KLIA2 in Kuala Lumpur? Because it was designed like a shopping mall. Have you been to Kuala Lumpur? KLIA2 is a bit confusing because the design is like a shopping mall. There's a weak wayfinding. For example, you design a train station, it's the same like an airport. You have arrival, departure, and you want to make sure that people walk to the right place and they understand where to go, whether they want to go to check-in counter, baggage claim, or the surau. So wayfinding and accessibility is more important. And then only you think about your tropical or symbolism that you want to implement your design, because there's no point.
Miss, your voice so small and I can hear it.
You cannot hear me. It's
So
raining.
sorry.
It's raining here. You can hear us.
I can hear your voice.
It's on, but it's raining. Hujan. Hujan di sini.
Well,
Boleh dengar?
Boleh kok terdengar. Saya dengar Dokter Su.
Yang lain tak dengar ya?
Hmm.
Tapi kami di sini hujan lebat.
Oh, hujan lebat.
Hujan lebat, guruh semua. Tapi saya rasa saya tak mute.
Oh, sinyal di auditorium itu mungkin Dokter Su. Sinyalnya dia.
Sebab audio saya dah kuatkan paling kuat.
Saya clear kok dengar Dokter Su.
Oh, clear eh?
Heavy, hujannya heavy.
Sangat. Hari panas terik. Sekarang petang je hari-hari hujan dan banyak pokok tumbang. Dan ribut. Banyak ribut.
Banyak.
Boleh ke di sana dengar? Saya tak mute. Mute. Unmute. Boleh dengar? Ke di sana audio di sana yang problem? Audio di sana.
Sepertinya begitu.
Saya sudah explain panjang. Bu Prima boleh dengar?
Belum ada jawaban. Mungkin belum dengar. Saya cek ke lokasi ya, Dokter Su ya, sebentar ya.
Ya, okay.
Belum dengar. Saya nggak dengar suaranya. Yang
Oh,
saya dengar suaranya Dokter Su.
saya pun tak dengar suara Bu Prima di sana. Saya rasa audio sistem di sana problem. Bagus, banyak soalan.
Sebab student ini punya projectnya kan sendiri-sendiri. Nah,
Ah,
jadi dia langsung capture untuk projectnya dia masing-masing.
ya. Tapi memang
Ada satu apa namanya bimbingan apa ya? Bimbingan saya itu nanti juga mau pakai Space
pakai. Oh, spesies.
Space ya.
Bagus. Oh,
Hmm.
sudah pernah pakai.
Sudah ada dua yang bimbingan saya dulu yang tahun sebelumnya itu
Aha.
pakai Space Intact. Nah, yang kali ini pun kita
Oh,
mau coba pakai Space Intact.
itu mereka explore sendiri atau macam mana?
Kenapa?
Student explore sendiri atau diajar?
Ah, dia ada sebelumnya ada digital urban analysis itu Pak
Oh,
Vicky yang mengajar, tapi sepertinya kalau mereka tidak dapat itu mereka eksplor sendiri.
bagus. Oh, siapa yang ajar?
Pak Vicky yang biasanya kita di studio IPO, tapi yang dia hanya Zoom, tadi tak ikut ke sana.
Itu yang pakai songkok tu.
Pakai
Yang
songkok Pak.
pakai
Ada.
hari masa lecture tu ada. Masa
Maaf, lecture tuh mesti ada, mesti Pak Vicky
ke kayu
yang
tangan tu.
oh yang pakai songkok kaitan itu Pak Farid.
Untuk Pak Farid.
Nah,
Ah,
ada Pak Vicky itu yang kalau kita review studio di Ipoh, Pak Vicky
ada.
ada itu.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
So, belum okay di sana.
Belum oke.
Mm-mm. Sini
Cek, cek.
Ah, tuh dengar tuh suaranya.
Utara.
Ya,
kami dengar clear.
Oh ya, sudah normal lagi. Eh,
Boleh? Ha. Bu Prima dengar tak?
Kiza dengar nggak Kiza?
uh, I think I can understand about wayfinding and accessibility. And,
Aha.
and after that, I can hear any voice. So I
Okay.
think you can repeat again. Thank
I'll
you.
repeat again. Okay. Design. Okay. When we design a uh, transportation hub, airport terminal, or LRT station, the first important thing that we need to remember is about wayfinding and accessibility, because in transportation area, you need to connect people from one place to another, and they have a time frame to achieve. That's why your symbolism or architectural style comes second. You need to understand user need for this kind of building is wayfinding first. You should imagine yourself, you go to the departure or arrival, and then you want to go to another place, maybe baggage collection, or you want to go to the immigration counter, but you don't know the place. Wayfinding is not clear, but you have a beautiful architecture, so that defeat the purpose. We need to understand form follow function, but at the same time you need to understand what do your user need. So in airport or LRT station or bus or whatever you call it, terminal, the user experience is different, the user requirement is different. If you design a hospital, the needs is different compared to your airport terminal. Okay, architecture style, it could be the same, but the accessibility, wayfinding, the route, the calculation, and then the size of your, maybe the corridor is different. So you need to base on the types of building first. Okay, maybe your friend will design a marketplace. They want to use symbolism, cultural, tropical architecture. Yes, they can, but their user need is different. And then the wayfinding for marketplace might be different from your airport terminal. Am I answering your question, Izan? Clear?
Yes. Thank you so
Oh,
much, Miss.
okay, all the best. Okay,
Thank you, Miss.
welcome. Ya, yang depan tadi sudah pegang mic. Oh, belakang. Ini dia pegang dulu mic yang depan ni.
Kata Bu Prim yang sebelahnya Alwi itu loh, cewek tuh.
Ah, cewek, cewek. Women's first, ladies first.
Sebentar dokter, jadi ini ada pertanyaan lanjutan.
Ah,
Dari
ya.
kalau tadi Kiza kan airport, nah, ini ada
Mhm.
pertanyaan lanjutan dari train station.
Oh, train
Ya,
station. Ya,
silakan Fikri.
Fitri.
Assalamualaikum
Fikri,
warahmatullahi
Fikri.
wabarakatuh.
Fikri, ya. Salam.
Izin menggunakan pakai bahasa Indonesia ya.
Boleh, boleh.
Jadi
Silakan.
dalam
Oh, saya rasa line lag.
Iya,
Hmm. Lagi.
problem lagi.
perancangan saya yaitu ya translation itu tes tes. Jadi dalam perancangan tugas akhir saya merancang sebuah stasiun dengan pendekatan jenis stasiun. Mana salah satu fokus saya adalah bagaimana cara eh, mempromosikan budaya setempat dan aktivitasnya dalam sebuah stasiun. Nah, sekiranya hal-hal yang eh, tepat dilakukan dalam mempromosikan, terutama di bidang transit yang pergerakan antara penggunanya itu cepat sehingga tidak terlalu memperhatikan apa yang ingin dipromosikan, itu apa yang perlu diperhatikan dalam perancang. Terima kasih.
Okey, sama. So, Fikri, tadi line terputus. Kamu mau design perancangannya train terminal dan kamu mau promosikan budaya setempat. Betul?
Ya, ya, betul.
Ya. So,
Betul,
kalau
betul.
okey, bila
Ya,
kita
betul.
okey, mengkaji budaya setempat, pastinya kamu perlu melihat kepada sejarah di tempat tersebut. So kalau dalam konteks train terminal ni, mungkin juga kamu boleh terapkan di pintu masuk hadapan, di mana tempat yang arrival yang kita ada masa untuk melihat benda tersebut. Maybe kamu akan ada feature wall ataupun mungkin ada simbol-simbol tertentu. Maybe di laluan yang penting yang kita time spend tu lebih panjang berbanding tempat yang kita rushing. So, design kita ni perlu melihat kepada pergerakan pengguna. That's why human observation tu adalah penting. Pemerhatian kepada pergerakan manusia. Di mana yang pedestrian berjalan laju. Di kawasan mana yang dia datang, dia berehat dan boleh enjoy. Okey, bangunan ni cantik. Arkitekturnya cantik. Gerbangnya melambangkan Jawa Timur atau Bali. Di mana di tempat yang manusia boleh duduk dan menghayati, dan di mana kawasan yang kamu ribut-ribut tak sempat mau appreciate architecture, itu maybe simple saja. So depends on function of that place ataupun that space. Dan kamu perlu fikir bila memperkenalkan budaya, jangan jadi seperti di Malaysia, Sunway Pyramid. Kenapa shopping mall di Malaysia membuat atau copy arkitektur Firaun di Mesir dibuatnya Sphinx? Kenapa? So, jangan copy macam tu. Kalau kamu mau tunjukkan budaya Jawa, apa yang paling signifikan? Apa yang penting? Mungkin kamu tak perlu direct translation, mungkin hanya interpretation ataupun kamu ambil dari syairnya, puisinya, ataupun dari sejarah tempat tu. Tetapi kalau boleh jangan dijadikan theme park. Design tu perlu jangan yang diada-adakan. Supaya dia tak rasa seperti dibuat-buat. Okey? Fikri, boleh? Boleh faham?
Oke,
Okey.
Paham, paham.
Alright.
terima kasih Dr. Su. Nah ini, the
Um,
first lady,
ya.
Amelia.
Tak apa, duduk pun tak apa.
Good morning, Miss. So my name is Amel.
Ya,
Good afternoon.
tak apa.
I think the question is a little bit personal. So as someone who often explore woman-related themes in architecture, I'd like to ask, how does critical thinking influence the way we conduct architectural analysis, especially when we try to understand space from women's perspective? So currently, my final project is Psychosocial Rehabilitation Center for Women. So
For?
focus on women.
Okay.
So I'm interested in how critical thinking can depend that analysis process.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Of course, my research topic is focusing on women's need and women's perspective because currently our regulation or our design approach, we did not consider women's perspective. That's why in Sustainable Development Goals 11, there's a focus on inclusivity. Inclusivity, that means for women, for children, for aging population, what do they need? So, for example, we want to know, what do women now needs? Because that's why when you collect the data, you need to look at the statistic. Okay, women in Malang, how many women? What are the percentage? What is the category of age? Is it a working age or aging population? Like Malaysia, we are moving towards aging population. And is it a teenager's age? And what are the category of income, educational background? Because when you understand the data, you will be more powerful. Your data will give you many insight. For example, you know that, okay, there may be 10 million people in Jawa Timur. How many women? Maybe 50% and then 50% men. And then how many people or women are working? Or how many people are studying? So from that data, you will understand, okay, there are about 10% of that population, they'll be working. So you need to understand deeper, where is the area that women use. So from that area, you study deeper. What is the problem in that area? Or what is the current design approach that has been implemented? And then that's why you always need to ask why, how. So you look at the data, you need to understand, okay, how can we improve this area? Because in Malang, there are so many educational institutions, there are many students, women students, women lecturer, many young girls going to college. How can you make that area safe for them? And how can you make that all parks are suitable for them to use at night or before they go to their classes, they want to have a break, they want to go to maybe musola and rest. How many numbers? For example, a very simple thing. We have the same numbers toilet cubicles in rest and relax area in highway in Malaysia. For men, we have 10. For women, we also have 10. Why do we need to have the same amount? Why can't we provide more for women? Because the data show that women population is more than men. And then men needs only 5 minutes to pray and we needs 15 minutes to pray. So we are not pushing for gender equality like the Western country, but we want something which is responsive according to our data. For example, maybe in Kota Malang, There are many women who are working at night. They go back maybe after 10 p.m. So what kind of environment that they need? What kind of public transport? What kind of religious building or shopping mall or public parks or what kind of building? So these are the data that you need to know. And then that's why when you have all this data, you need to critically thinking. You need to think beyond that. That's why you cannot just get the data, okay, 50%, 10%, and that's it. But you need to keep on asking why do they need this, and how can you improve? That's why when you have the data, you should ask deeper. Previously, we only design our environment or design the building according to a very general population. We did not care much. That's why now we have nursing room, we have maybe in more inclusive design approach or strategies for all. That's why when you do your final project, okay, you focus not only for women but also for aging population of women. You need to look at the needs. The needs is keep on changing. Maybe for people who live in the 80s, 90s, women maybe just stay at home. So you need to see the projection. Maybe in the future, more women are working from home, and then they go out for shopping because of maybe work from home environment. So you need to understand the current trend as well, without neglecting the current issue or the current trend. The current pattern now, okay, women are working outside, but what is the prediction in the future? So your design, when you want to think about sustainability, it should be for current and the future. So it is actually a very complex issue, but needs to be done. Thank you for the question. Is it answering your question?
Yes, thank you, Miss.
Yeah, welcome.
Uh, Good afternoon, Dr. Suleha. My name is Berliana Farah. You can call me Berli. And before I am going to ask my question,
Mm-hmm.
let me know, let you know my project. So my project is junior high school inside Islamic boarding school. Then I chose value-based architecture for my approach. Uh, so most of my analyses are talking about value and from are talking about value. So from your presentation before, the tools and methods that we can use is interview, right? Okay. In this kesempatan, opportunity, my question is how method of interview that can help me to uncover values of education and culture that can be translated to art design.
Education, or how to uncover education and
Uncover.
culture in
Yes,
architecture.
yes. Do you get it?
Yeah, so this is for junior high school, and then you
Yes.
uncover, that means you want to combine between education and culture in
And
architecture
culture of a boarding school.
of boarding school.
Because my junior high school inside the zone of my junior high school in Islamic boarding school.
Islamic. Okay. All right. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, if this is a research, there are 5 keywords that you need to understand.
Okay.
There's one Islamic, 6 is junior high school, education, cultural, architecture. It's quite a big task because when you look at Islamic, of course, you need to first thing understand the Islamic value or Islamic teaching. But we need to understand that why don't we combine architecture with Islamic? Because if you follow Islamic, architecture is already sustainable. And then you have junior high school. So you need to understand that junior high school is different from another types of high school. And then you have one more category is boarding school. Yeah, boarding school environment, the activities, the time frame that the students spend with teachers is different compared to the daily school. And then you have education, and then you want to adapt the culture of, where is your site?
My site in Jember is Java, Indonesia.
Okay, so you want to combine all this. It is doable. So what you can do is maybe you need to understand that your population or your target user or end user, the first thing is the junior high school students and the teachers, and what is their activities in that school. And of course, at the same time, you want to implement the culture through architecture, right?
Yes, yes.
So maybe you want to, it doesn't have to, you don't have to copy Middle East architecture just because we want to show Islam. For example, mosque design, we don't need to design a dome. For example, in Indonesia, your mosque bumbung limas, because it is suitable for our weather, Khatulistiwa. So you can use that kind of architecture as well, because it reflects the architecture of Jawa, the 3-tier level of pitch roof. It doesn't have to be a dome or a flat roof like in Medina, or you want to, install that a big umbrella like in Medina. It doesn't have to be like that. Even your landscape doesn't have to be pokok tamar. It should be your local native plant. Same goes with your architecture. You can show maybe the special part of East Java. Java is what? Architecture. Maybe there's something special about it. So you show it. But as long as it is not contradict with the Islamic teaching. Maybe in Javanese architecture, there's some symbolism which is not suitable for Islamic school. Maybe a figurative. So you need to avoid that one. Okay, it depends. If you design a resort, your client is not Muslim, it's a different case. But for Islamic boarding school, and then you need to understand the way you design your environment. For example, a market is different compared to junior high school, where the students are more energetic, they walk a lot, they need spaces to go up. Maybe the classroom shouldn't be like a normal classroom, which is constrained in the four walls. Maybe you want to create something more suitable with the culture, with the climate. Maybe your classroom could extend into outside. And then what do you need for the new age of teaching environment? Maybe you need more virtual classroom. So these are the things that you need to implement without neglecting the Islamic part. Actually, Islamic part should be the first thing, right? Yeah, if we design about from Islamic perspective, of course, the design of the dome for male and female should be far away, and there should be some segregation. So things like that. But at the same time, of course, we want to show our local culture, but it should be based on your Islamic background. Culture comfort, second, religion first. But when you want to portray a religion, don't reflect the Middle East. Middle East suitable for their desert country. We make the same mistake in Malaysia, in Kota Baru, because we want to create so-called Serambi Mekah. They plant this pokok kurma, and then there's a lot of problem because pokok kurma comes with an insect. So they cut down the trees, they plant more shady trees, which is more suitable for tropical climate. So go back to that. Okay, you look at this junior high school, and then Islamic, and then boarding school. What are the requirement? And please understand that the future classroom maybe might be different from your classroom now, or your classroom in your maybe 2001 should be different. Look at the next generation. Maybe they only come to school 3 days. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Okay. Am I answering your question?
No, it's really clear for me. Thank you so much for your nice answer. And yeah, that's all for me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. All the best.
Last questioner. Oke. Wah, terlambat. Dua ya habis ini ya. Nanti gantian sama Farika ya. Terakhir tapi.
Oh, kalau banyak soalan saya kena pergi sana ni.
Tes, tes. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Parika. You can call me Pari. I'm here. I will ask about my project. I'm designed a public building in the form of mixed use about education and community center that is placed at North Jakarta. I'm here. I would like to ask about appropriate analysis for a design that has the potential to become a new city's icon,
Mhm.
which function as an education center and creative center. With wait. Analysis of what is needed to be able to become a bridge for a present of a new city icon, ma'am.
So
Did
project.
you understand my question?
Okay, I rephrase your statement. Okay, your
Okay.
project is a public building. It's mixed use,
Yes.
education and creative center, and it is located in North Jakarta.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So your question is?
What type of analyze that is can be mendukung? Apa pendukung?
Oh, to support your project, kan? Yang apa analisa tapak yang akan mendukung
Mendukung tempat tersebut menjadi potensi ikon kota yang baru karena pertanyaan tersebut sudah dinyatakan oleh pemerintah setempat kalau tempat tersebut itu berpotensi menjadi ikon ibu kota yang baru.
Oh, okay. Ikon ibu kota yang baru. So ini local authority-nya sudah nyatakan mau dijadikan ikon yang baru. Betul.
That's right.
So apa analisis yang perlu dilakukan? So bila kita bercakap tentang ikon, it is something yang we look forward. It could be something, a big structure or a big building. So kamu mau design mixed use education and creative center, right? So kita perlu ingat bila ikon ni dia melibatkan identity, image and then character. So untuk kamu perlu buat analisis, kamu perlu kaji karakter setempat, analisa apa Jakarta dari segi sejarahnya, bagaimana architecture tu sendiri boleh dijadikan something new icon. Kamu tak perlu copy Zaha Hadid atau arkitek dari barat. Kamu tunjukkan apa yang menarik di North Jakarta berdasarkan analisisnya. Maksudnya perlulah kaji something yang unik. Bila kita bercakap tentang ikon, seperti ikon Siti Nurhaliza, uniknya irama Malaysia, apa gayanya, suaranya, itu ikon. So karakternya berbeza dengan maybe penyanyi lain, penyanyi dangdut lain, stylenya lain, karakternya lain, gaya pakaiannya, warna bajunya lain. Sama juga dengan architecture. Apa ikon? Ikon tu apa maksudnya? Kena fahamkan apa yang mau ditunjukkan. Jadi sama juga macam tadi, kamu perlu kaji morfologi, sejarah setempat, and then kaji apa keperluan creative center. Creative center kalau zaman dahulu bagaimana desainnya. Maybe perlu tengok apa precedent study di tempat lain yang kamu boleh adapt supaya creative center ni tidak mati begitu saja jadi projek Gajah Putih. Faham tak Gajah Putih? Projek yang besar tapi tak berjaya. Sebab saya bercakap based on apa yang jadi di Malaysia, kita ada big building yang akhirnya hanya menjadi Gajah Putih, tak functional. Mahu dijadikan big tall building tetapi tak boleh digunakan. Hanya digunakan setahun beberapa kali untuk exhibition. So merugikan. Jadi bagaimana kita nak combine education hub and creative center? That's why kita berpatah balik kepada user need. Kita tengok, okay, berapa ramai demographic component, berapa ramai new generation, what is the type of activities, apa at one time ramai budak-budak main Beyblade, sekarang dah tak main Beyblade. At one time main Mobile Legend. So apa gamenya? Adakah kita nak incorporate macam mana? Maybe dulu kita fine art, sekarang melukis secara digital. Adakah creative center kita ni kita mau provide studio yang seperti biasa ataupun new age studio? So kamu perlu tengok analisa ni, keperluan tu kamu perlu kaji. Maksudnya interview dan tengok projection. Maybe next 10 years, maybe digital art sudah jadi macam mana? Creative art apa yang akan jadi lagi? Sebab kalau kita tengok dulu, melukis semuanya manual. Sekarang kita guna Mid Journey. You create idea from Mid Journey. Generative AI kan? So maybe spaces dulu mungkin kecil, mungkin besar untuk studio. Sekarang studio mungkin kecil tapi panel yang besar. Ataupun kita banyak menggunakan virtual reality. So perlu tengok beyond normal supaya tempat tu bertahan, supaya dia tak jadi something yang tak ada purpose. That's why analisis kamu kena tengok keperluan pengguna sekarang dan projection. Sebab creative center ni adalah satu benda yang mungkin di Indonesia memang people are creative, tapi kita tengok sekarang ni melukis ataupun buat video, cara yang bagaimana yang bersesuaian. That's why user requirement tu kena ditonjolkan lah. Okay, menjawab soalan?
Okay, I wanna confirm saran dari Mem. Jadi untuk bangunannya lebih berfokus kepada bangunan yang menjawab kebutuhan masyarakat dan itu didesain secara menarik. Jadi bukan desain bangunan yang yang menjawab, bukan melanjutkan
design tu
pola aktif.
terputuslah Utara. Dia dengar?
Iya, tadi
Ulang,
terputus
ulang.
sedikit.
Oh, oke.
Diulang,
Farika.
Farika.
Saya ulang. Jadi di sini saya mau konfirm jawaban dari Mem terkait berarti bangunannya didesain untuk kayak bangunan yang menjawab kebutuhan masyarakat tersebut dan dikemas secara menarik dan bukan hanya untuk menjawab mewadahi pola aktivitas warga sebelumnya pada tempatnya.
Ya, betul. Sebab kalau kita tengok trend in creative art sudah berubah. Zaman kamu melukis guna AutoCAD. Zaman saya dan Butara dan Blueprint manual. Itu adalah satu benda yang sangat ketara. Kamu bayangkan sekarang kita sudah guna Midjourney, Photoshop, Lumion. Next 5 years, saya tak tahu apa lagi creative art akan berubah. So, design kamu punya creative center ni perlu sesuai dengan masa sekarang dan projection for the future. Supaya bersesuaian. Tetapi at the same time, kena belah tengok apa yang bersesuaian dengan tropical culture, tropical environment and then local culture. So analisis kamu kena merangkumi keperluan pengguna dan trend yang sentiasa berubah yang terlalu cepat. Kalau dulu satu trend untuk berubah mengambil masa yang lama, zaman sekarang terlalu cepat. So jangan projek yang seperti ini, make sure boleh adaptable until the next generation. Ya.
Oke,
Ya,
terima
sorry, Kak.
kasih Mem atas jawabannya.
Saya mau tambah sedikit saja. Tadi ada key point dari Dr. Su ya terkait dengan define the iconic ya. Teman-teman
Icon.
yang mengusung atau desain concernnya terkait dengan iconic, new icon itu perlu di breakdown terlebih dahulu. Jangan sampai hanya berfokus pada aspek fisikal saja, tampilan saja. Tetapi sebenarnya iconic itu bisa juga dari sisi functional, gitu ya, yang berbeda dengan fungsi-fungsi bangunan, gitu ya. Oke, the last question, Andi.
Dr. Su, this is the student who wanna use space syntax to
Oh, okay.
analyze the site.
Interesting. Boleh saya belajar dengan dia?
Andi, Dr. Su mau belajar sama Andi katanya.
Andi. Boleh buat online class.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Andy,
Yeah.
Andy. In my final project, my final project is a market, but it also connect the surrounding area in 300-meter radius to reviving image of the area. So I'm designing the streetscapes as well. In my case, I'm thinking about focusing the site analysis on pedestrian movement. My question is it enough if my site analysis focus only on the pedestrian aspect, or should I also include other aspects that are important for designing the streetscape? And is it okay if the option I create are based on my own imagination, or should follow actual standards?
Okay.
Thank you.
Imagination. So you have two questions. You are designing a market, and then your first question is whether it's enough to base on your study on pedestrian movement only. And the second question is whether you can design based on just your imagination, right?
Yes.
Yeah, your first question is a marketplace. So you need to understand the typology of a marketplace first. What do people do in the marketplace? What kind of people who go or use that marketplace? First thing, you have the people who work there. What are their needs? Their needs is not only pedestrian, but you need to remember loading and unloading of the truck, of the ice, the lorry. People come and unload that maybe garbage. So you need to think about the services and then the pedestrian movement. Pedestrian is for the people who come and purchase, the purchaser, the buyer. And then maybe you have a middle person, perai, who come to the market. So these are the things that you need to consider, not only the pedestrian. Pedestrian is of course important, but for the market to function, you need the service area. Service area for the loading, unloading, and then the fire requirement, that is very important. So for marketplace, normally you need to design a circular or accessible road, the service road for the fire truck. Just imagine, it's a big market, but you did not study the service road. What happened? So you need to think about it. And then imagine people will come to the market not on at 9 a.m. but the market start operating maybe 2 a.m. because uh, lori-lori perai datang awal, orang yang membeli secara borong ataupun orang yang menghantar ais, itu perlukan service road dan time frame berbeza. So kamu perlu fikir mungkin ada gerai-gerai kedai makan yang start awal, atau dari segi safety-nya macam mana, maybe solar panel mau pakai. So benda ni kena fikir more than pedestrian movement. Pedestrian movement is important for the customer, but for the place to function, first thing the service road. And then you use space syntax, of course that's for pedestrian movement dengan traffic. And then you need to think about answering that question, not enough. Please study the services as well. And then imagination. Is it enough? If you ask me, of course you need to be based on the site. Because when you study about marketplace, you need to study the typology and how do people connect to marketplace. Because if you look at the architecture of a marketplace or the social aspect in marketplace design, people always have a connection. Or maybe the new generation, you do not have that connection because you don't go to that marketplace. But for people who live in that area, when you move or you remove that or you relocate the marketplace to a new place, sometimes they feel lost. So just imagine if you design something which is very alien to the area, what will affect the environment or the image of that area? Is it maybe in Jawa Timur or Jawa Barat, the architecture is, what is the significant? And then suddenly you want to design something totally like a shopping mall. How does that affect? So you need to ask the community or look at the architecture. How do you blend in? You can design something different, but you always need to blend in. So I want to relate to that question about icon. Please don't impress the tourists. Impress the local people first. Because tourists come just like I go to Malang, maybe just 6 days. But think about people who live there, who will go to the marketplace, who will see your iconic building. They will see that every day. They will be attached to that building. That building will give them meaning. So whatever you do, you can, of course, at this level as a student, you want to be more adventurous, you want to be creative. Yes, you can. But at the same time, look at what are the local aspect or culture that you want to show, or something which is grounded. You can still explore, but respond to the context. Because in reality, when you work, you need to study what are the building next to your site. You don't just design what's inside your boundary. That is very wrong approach. Good luck. Am I answering question? Fikri, Andy?
It's clear, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome.
Baik, alhamdulillah. Sharingnya sangat menyenangkan, sangat insightful ya bagi kami. Alhamdulillah ada berapa tadi ya? 8 atau 7
Akan.
student yang bertanya. Tapi sayangnya waktu tidak
Ya.
bisa membersamai seperti itu sehingga kita harus mencukupkan diskusi kita kali ini. Nanti tapi kira-kira Dokter Su jika ada mahasiswa yang ingin bertanya lebih lanjut, boleh tak kontak Dokter Su?
Boleh. Dalam
Oh,
slide
boleh.
saya ada email address.
Nah ya, jadi nanti ada emailnya Dokter Su. Jadi siapa tahu teman-teman ingin diskusi lebih jauh gitu ya, bisa dikontak melalui emailnya Dokter Su, gitu ya.
Saya beri
Baiklah.
PDF kepada nanti.
Ya.
Nanti saya akan share PDF slide tadi.
Oh ya,
Ah,
siap. Terima kasih Dokter Su. Baik,
alright.
sebelum kita close, kita foto kali ya. Ada yang bisa bantu foto bersama-sama beramai-ramai ambil gambar
Sekarang hujan deras di
dari
sini.
mana? Ya, mumpung hujan deras. Ayo,
Mumpung
siapa
hujan
pinjam
deras,
handphonenya?
nggak bisa pulang.
Ayo bangun, pinjam handphonenya.
Oh, hujan.
Bisa
Di
ya wes
Malang
ya.
baru turun hujan.
Kalian ngadepnya ke sini biar Dokter Sunya tampak.
Itu yang belakang
Ayo
saya tak
balik
nampak.
balik 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 balik.
Kanan tu. Saya tak nampak. Oh, di balik ke
Dok,
sana.
selfie ya? Nggak selfie? Hah? Itu noh. Nggak kejauhan. Mundur. Oh oke. Ayo mundur.
Awas jatuh.
Sini. Awas. Sini. Tapi nanti ketutupan. Ayo cepet. Kayaknya ketutupan. Ayo. Ayo guys. Ayo. Hitung ya, berhitung. Ayo, Mas Bro. Boleh? Siapa? Giza, kelihatan? Oke. Ayo, Mas. Ayo dong. Baik. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Uin. Nggak tahu.
Oh, you.
You.
Oh, terima kasih menjemput.
Terima kasih Dokter Su.
Sama.
UPM.
Sama-sama UU ya.
Ayo. Oke. Oke. Sudah, terima kasih. Baik. Ayo
Sama-sama.
bareng-bareng. Terima kasih Dokter Su.
Sama. All the best semua. Semoga siap design. Jangan lupa
Baik.
data analysis.
Nanti mungkin Dokter Su bisa diundang external examinator.
InsyaAllah. Projek menarik.
Nanti last semester kita akan review hampir 100 student tadi. Final examnya
Wow.
100 student.
Berapa lama tu biasanya kalau review? 2 hari?
2 weeks ya, almost 2 weeks.
Aha.
1 hari bisa 5 student. 4
Oh,
sampai
sebab
5 student.
verbal presentation.
Ya, verbal.
Bagus.
Thank you Dokter.
Sudah Bu Prim? Ditutup dulu Bu Prim. Termute. Bu Prima termute.
Dokter Su, sekali lagi terima kasih atas sharingnya, atas waktunya. Sangat berharga materinya yang sudah disampaikan untuk mahasiswa kami, student kami. Nanti insya Allah kita sambung lagi, bisa jadi ada opportunity untuk Dokter Su kita invite lagi untuk jadi examiner.
Ya,
Ya,
insyaAllah.
seperti itu. Baik,
Terima kasih
ya.
menjemput. All the best untuk semua.
Baik, terima kasih. Amin.
Terima
Okay,
kasih
Kami
Dokter Su.
end ya.
Assalamualaikum.
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Saya
Assalamualaikum.
salam. Mana saya nak live? Oh, ni live meeting. Okay, bye-bye.